I've made it to my campsite, and that trek in took about an hour and a half this time, which included some pit stops and, of course, many stops along the way for filming. Now, the site I'm staying at is a beautiful little site just tucked in under some pine trees at the edge of a large pond, about 100 meters off the main trail. And so my next steps are going to be to drag these sleds into the site, unload all of my gear at the site, and then I'm going to make a U-turn and head back to my truck. For this camp, I brought in some bags of hardwood to help keep me warm at night, rather than trudging around in the deep snow just to cut down some softwood that doesn't burn very hot. I thought I'd make the double trip back and bring in those bags. So that's my next set of steps, and I'm going to get started on that now because, well, it's already 12:30, and it'll probably be an hour and a half or so for me to go back to the truck and get that wood. And after that, well, 2 or 3 hours before it gets dark. Just coming up around 4 p.m. now, and it is a very nice feeling to have my tent set up, the wood stove set up, ready for ignition, the hardwood sitting here like money in the bank between two trees over here. And I'm just going to finish this coffee, and once that's done, I'm going to unpack my personal effects and get them loaded into the tent, and then get that stove rip-roaring and take some of this chilly edge off. It has been a very busy past couple hours here at the campsite, just getting settled in, getting the mattress inflated and the bedding out and figuring out how to set up your tent and tidying up around the campsite. And well, suddenly it's 6 p.m. and it has become very shady, in fact, borderline dark. All of the light that was on the lake is now gone, and even the sun behind me has disappeared behind the tree line behind me. So maybe another hour of, whatever light we've got here now. But I'm in a great spot. I've got the fire roaring in the wood stove behind me, and I can hear the fan ticking away, spreading all that heat out throughout the tent. And tonight's dinner couldn't be simpler. It's just a meal in a bag, so I've just got to boil up some water and pour it in and wait 20 minutes. So I'm going to dive in the tent now and get some food in my belly because I am starving. Skip lunch and, 2 trips back and forth with all that weight definitely takes it out of you. And then I think I'm just going to chill out with my book tonight inside the tent. But if we get a moon, I'll come out and check out the stars and poke around the lake and see if anything's moving. Well, I've got my beef stroganoff here, and I've already added my hot water. I've given it the 1 stir and the reseal, and I've just got about 4 more minutes to go until I dive into this. And I'm hungry, my God. Today was a long day, leaving the city as early as I did, and then those 2 trips back and forth, in with the hardwood and in with all my gear. It's exhausting. Anyway, I'm in a great spot right now with the wood stove behind me and my own little world inside this tent. And so I think after this meal, I'm just going to hop in my sleeping bag and pull out my book, do some reading, get to bed early, try to get an early start tomorrow. Anyway, thank you so much for coming along on my day 1 of my 3-day winter camp. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Good morning on day 2. Chilly night last night, not terrible, but there were certainly moments. And speaking of moments, last night, around 8:30 or 9 o'clock, wolves, close, and the howls, my goodness. Started with some yipping and yapping and then turned into these deep belly howls, maybe 3 or 4 rounds of them. Just amazing to sit in your tent, listen to them with the wood stove going in the background. I mean, it sounded like they were just over the hill in front of me. Anyway, on coffee number 1 right now, and as soon as I get coffee number 2 in the belly, I'm going to suit up, put on my snowshoes, and we're going to start exploring the neighborhood. Well, I just thought I'd stop for a quick water break. Been out hiking for about an hour, and I haven't made it very far if I'm honest, but there's been lots to look at and lots to shoot. But there's been nothing with a heartbeat. I haven't seen or heard any birds, no black-capped chickadees, no woodpeckers, no red squirrels, except for the wolves last night. I have not heard anything with a heartbeat since I've been out here. Now, hopefully when I get back to camp, the suet that I hung from the branch there, we'll see some action and maybe we'll get some blackcaps or some woodpeckers or some nuthatches or something. But it's just been dead quiet in this forest since I got here. Anyway, as a part of today's hike, I'm going to be swinging back towards the parking lot. And it's not because I forgot anything, which is the usual reason I find myself heading back to my truck. But instead, it's because at the parking lot, there is the world's smallest outhouse. And, well, if you've been winter camping before, you know there's really nothing like being able to have a thunderbox or an outhouse to get your business done instead of raw dogging it in the snow with your pants between your ankles. It's not elegant. Anyway, so I'm going to incorporate that pit stop into my hike today, and I'll be back at the parking lot in, 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll take things from there. was a great little pit stop. Hopped in the car, warmed up a little bit. Had a snack, brought a Quest bar with me because I skipped breakfast this morning. And had a chance to hit the Thunderbox as well. So trifecta of good stuff happening there. But now I'm gonna head back to camp, but not the same way I came. This trail loops out in a wider direction and will offer a view across that pond of my camp as I get closer. And until then, it's really just a trip through the woods. So I'm gonna make my way now and see what this other loop has to show. This is a really nice section of trail, one I haven't traveled before. It's an alternate way to get to my campsite, I guess, from the parking lot, and it's a longer way, so I've never taken it because usually I just take that path on the way in and I want to get to camp fast. And then most of the trails I've explored are beyond my campsite, so this is the first time I've looped back around to one of the starting trails, and it is really lovely through here. Just a total pine forest, lots of overhang, and some ponds off to the right-hand side. So there's been lots to look at along the way, and I'm hearing birds for the first time, blackcaps, here and there. Haven't seen them yet, but maybe back at the campsite there'll be some action. Anyway, I've got a ways to go, so better get at it. That forested section has opened up into really a very expansive section. I feel like I'm on a Christmas tree farm. But it's a nice break from the forest. A bit more light out here and chance to see animals or maybe some birds and treetops. I don't see any. But shortly I'll be re-entering the forest at just the other end of this field or swamp or whatever it is that I'm on. And then I'll be continuing on from there until we make our way back to the campsite. Whereas the other trail is wall-to-wall forest, this trail has all these incredible open spaces along to the right. Whether it be, I don't know, lakes or ponds or bogs in the summer, I don't know, but just lovely to have this elbow room as you're making your way through the woods. I'm about 500 meters away from my camp, and I can see I'm about to enter the woods again. And when I come out of those woods, I should see my camp across the bay. So that's the plan, and haven't been down this trail before, so let's hope the maps are true to form. I've made it back to the pond that overlooks my campsite, or rather the pond that my campsite overlooks. But I'm at the far side of it. In fact, my campsite's way back here against the far shore, and I really can't take a direct route because, well, it is a lake. So I'm going to take this dog sled trail, the one that hugs the shore. I think it'll be safe. And then there's a small bridge I have to go over before retracing about 100 meters of the same steps I took before to get into my campsite. And when I get back there, the first order of business is going to be dinner because I skipped breakfast in favor of lunch and I never made it back for lunch. And all I've had is a power bar and 2 cups of coffee today, so I'm more than ready for some food, which I think is going to be pad thai in a bag. Anyway, gonna strap up and start making my way back to camp. Well, it is nice to be back at the campsite. 4:45 p.m. and man, I am hungry. So first order of business is to get some water on the boil. Stove's all fired up, burning really nice and hot, and I've got the water on to boil. So I thought I'd go out and take a look at my suet feeder here and just see if it got any action while I was gone. I don't think it got too much. I didn't see any crumbs on the ground when I came back. Yep, I don't think it saw any action. Oh, dinner's almost ready. And man, this cannot come fast enough for me. I'm starving. Hardly ate a thing today. Not smart. But what a day it was. I really enjoyed checking out that new trail set that I'd never been down before, with all those meadows and lakes and ponds and little Christmas tree farms along the way. Beautiful. And even the portions of forest there were just so intimate, cozy at times and then open at other times. And the temperature today, -4 degrees probably, cold enough that nothing's melting underfoot or soaking you from the boughs above, but not cold enough that your hands are sticking to your camera and that you can't film. So all in all, I don't know if I could have ordered a more perfect day to be up here. Now, my only regret is not having a chance to visit some other destination lakes to the east of where I am now. But you can't do it all, and I guess it'll just be a reason to come back again. Anyway, I'm going to dive into this meal now, but thank you so much for joining me on day 2, and I hope to see you on day 3. Good morning on day 3. Last night was very comfortable, maybe -6 or -8 degrees, and completely silent throughout the night except for some yipping or yapping. It could have been wolves, could have been coyotes, one or the other, but no wolf howls like I heard last night, so that's too bad. Anyway, got up at 5 a.m. and got started on the coffees and packed up all my gear inside the tent. So all I've got left to do this morning is to empty the wood stove, collapse the tent, load everything into the sleds, and start making my way back to the truck. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just as soon as I finish, coffee number 2. Well, unfortunately, I didn't have any takers for my suet, but no matter, I'll just take it home and maybe bring it out on the next outing. Well, I've got camp all collapsed and the sled train is loaded and ready to go. I've just got to strap on my snowshoes, put on the trekking belt, and start pulling that sled back to the truck. But I wanted to say what a magnificent winter camp this was. You know, besides the fact that I didn't see or hear any wildlife except for the wolves, there is something nice about being in complete silence. Just that kind of silence that you get when you're far away from any major road, surrounded by, feet of deep snow softening all the sound, tucked in some pine trees with a wood stove crackling in the background. I mean, it's just a dream come true, really. Unfortunately, though, like all dreams, it's time for this one to come to an end. So I'm going to strap on the train and start making my way back to the truck. But I wanted to thank you very much for coming along on this 3-day winter camp. And we hope to see you on the next one.